Welcome to the Existential Empath Podcast. My name is Tanya, and I am an intuitive empath. My intention is to share valuable tools and techniques that I have learned so you can tap into your own inner healer naturally and intuitively.
As the holidays get closer, a lot of us start to suffer with anxiety and stress, and we begin to feel emotionally triggered the more that we get closer to the holidays, when we know that we may have to spend time with our own families, with our in-laws, with coworkers that we may not feel very comfortable with. So we start to get anxious, and some of us us introverts may want to retreat and not deal with it, while other extroverts may come out of their shell and maybe lash out in some ways to release that energy or that pressure in our bodies to want to let go of whatever that tension is that we have been holding on to. So I know for me, when I was married, the holidays were highly, highly stressful for me. I had married into a family that was very, very different from my family. And anytime that we got together, it was, I always felt very insecure, very pressured, very almost passive aggressive in a way. I was a people pleaser. I wanted to please my in-laws. I wanted to please my family. And in that process, I would actually lose track of who I was. And anytime that we're trying to be people pleasers, we are taking a step back from our authentic selves and who we are. We are losing our voice. We are closing up that throat chakra, and it's not allowing us to speak our truth and to let ourselves out of that kind of confined box that society puts us in. And oftentimes, many of us, especially introverts, we don't want to create ripples. We don't want to, start a war, right, at the holidays. So we kind of just sit back, bite our tongues, and just let it roll. And then all of that stuff starts to build up over time. And at some point, it's going to explode. It's going to come out. It may not come out this holiday season or even next holiday season, but there's a possibility it could come out 2 or 3 holiday seasons, or it could come out when you're out shopping at Target and someone, cuts you off with a cart, and next thing you know, you're lashing out at this poor person. And it's all this built up tension from what you were experiencing at the holidays, and you were holding yourself back from speaking your truth. And when we speak our truths, we don't always have to be aggressive. We don't have to be harsh, but we can be stern and confident in the way that we share our feelings, and the way that we stand up and actually tell people, listen, this is how I feel, or when you treat me this way, this is how it makes me feel. And oftentimes when we are also in the holiday season and we're dealing with family or in-laws or whatnot, we're also tipping back the bottle, right? Some of us will have alcohol, and alcohol is just going to fuel those feelings. And when we are drinking alcohol, oftentimes our inhibitions just fly, right? So we will kind of say things in a way that maybe we wouldn't be sharing that information if we weren't drinking. So I created this tapping to help any of you who may feel that stress of getting together with family at the holidays. Maybe you don't see them very often, and when you do get together, you're kind of tiptoeing around it, walking on thin ice. I know that was my experience. I always just felt like I wanted to kind of lay low and make the peace, but they would just poke the bear. And there were many times where I remember myself just, going into the bathroom and just sobbing my eyes out, because it was something that I just felt defeated by. And honestly, it was really just myself not standing up and not voicing what my traditions were, what my expectations were of a holiday, we bring these families together, and everybody has different traditions and different expectations, but yet we expect us all to kind of just cohesively make it work. And some of you are very blessed in that you probably can do that, and you have excellent relationships with your families and your in-laws, and you don't have any of these problems, but many of us do, and it can cause a lot of stress during the holiday season, which can be avoided if we take the appropriate steps to share our authentic voice, as well as share our emotions and our feelings as to what we're going through and what we're feeling at that time. And oftentimes when we are being triggered by family members or those who are closest to us, it's because there's something inside of us that needs to be healed. So, for me, I was married into a family that, the mom stayed at home. She took care of the kids. She cooked the meals. She was, a very strong housewife. Where I grew up in a family where my mom and my dad both worked. And my dad was the one sometimes, if mom had to work late, dad was the one making the meals for us. So I kind of grew up in a family where I saw mom and dad playing both roles, where I had married into a family where there was very strict boundaries as to who had those male and female roles in the family. And for me, every time I saw that, it was like this trigger to me. Like I was this strong, independent working person, and I would have a really hard time dealing with the kind of that image of what my, ex-husband's family was bringing to the table, to the Thanksgiving table, to the Christmas table. And this was my stuff. This was my stuff that I had to process, that I had to deal with. But at the time, I didn't know that. Everything was the blame game, blaming each other about, you did this to me and I did this to you. And it was very passive aggressive in the way that we handled things, back then. So just remember that when you are being triggered, step back and ask yourself consciously, what is it that I need to heal inside that this person or this particular situation keeps triggering me with? I remember a specific time when it was my first Thanksgiving. I wanted to, after I got married, and I wanted to cook a really cool meal. I got online. I started, looking up all these awesome recipes and just really taking it to a whole new level, because I just wanted to impress everybody. I wanted everyone to have a really great time, and I wanted it to be a very memorable Thanksgiving experience for me. I had, asked everyone to come over. We were going to eat around 1:00, and the entire, my husband's entire family showed up, and they had actually invited some people that I wasn't, aware were coming. So I had to get some, more place settings out, and I wasn't expecting that. And me, I had a very compulsive, obsessive sort of behavior to me. I always felt like I needed to know what was going on, and I had to plan. I was a planner. And when people were showing up that I wasn't expecting, it started to give me anxiety. And they all kind of showed up at like 12:55, 5 minutes before we ate. I think we had dinner on the table at like 1:10. We said a prayer, and before I knew it, everybody was gone by 1:30. And I had been slaving away at in the kitchen since like 4 a.m. to get this meal together, and it was literally eaten and done within 20 minutes, and no one was there no one offered to help me clean any dishes. No one offered to help me clean the table, nothing. And at the time, I was devastated. I remember going into the closet and just calling my parents and having a meltdown. And it was really hard for me to want to do that again, to want to go through all of that work for people who I thought at the time didn't appreciate what I was doing and what I was bringing to the table. But after all these years have passed, and I've been divorced for almost 10 years now, I look back at that time and I realized that I was a very independent woman, and I was putting off an energy of independence. I was saying, listen, I can do this on my own. I don't need your help. This is, this is my thing. And they were picking up on that energy. And so they were like, just, throwing their hands up saying, okay, well then you've got it. Go for it. Do it all yourself. And I didn't see that at the time, but I do see that now. So our energy is so important with, how we are exuding that to others. So oftentimes when we are being triggered, it's a mere reflection of what we need to heal inside of us. And at that time, I needed to heal the art of receiving. I was a giver. I was a pleaser. I was that person who was always going above and beyond to help others, but I had a really difficult time receiving help or receiving things from other people. So over the course of the many years, I have had the opportunities to work on that, because it's a fine balance of giving and receiving. And during this time of the holidays, that's always the focus, is giving, right? Giving thanks, giving to others, giving of service, giving of yourself. But it's also the other side of the spectrum is receiving that too. And I know for some of us, we have a difficult time doing that. I was one of those people, but there needs to be a nice cyclical cycle of giving and receiving. So let's go through and just tap it out. We're going to do a little tapping session here on family gatherings or anxiety around family gatherings. And like always, if there are certain phrases in here that don't resonate with you, then fix it. Add what does resonate with you, and you can go back through it again and try to make it a little bit more specific, because with EFT tapping, the more specific that you are, the more healing can take place. So this is a template for us to follow. So let's go ahead and just get started. So let's start tapping here on the karate chop point. And I want us all to just take a deep breath in through our nose. Hold it. And let that go. Gosh, some of us needed that. I know I do. Let's do one more. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Tapping right here on the karate chop point. Even though I feel all this anxiety when I think of this family gathering, I accept myself and how I feel now. Even though I feel all of this anxiety about spending time with my family, I choose to feel calm and confident now. Even though I feel a tremendous amount of stress being around my family this time of year, I love, accept, and forgive myself for how I feel. Okay, let's start right here above the eyebrow. Family gatherings have been so stressful in the past. I don't want to go through that again. I absolutely dread these family gatherings. My family knows how to push all of my buttons. All those emotions just bubble up inside of me. All this pressure and anxiety in my body just builds up. Any resentment that I feel is safe to express. No one pushes my buttons like my family. All this tension in my body. I'm starting to brace myself for conflict, because I know what happened last year, and I bet you it's going to happen again this year. I worry I won't have a voice this time. I choose to remain rational and calm. It is safe to relax. I can handle anything calmly. I am in absolute control of my feelings. Even if this family gathering doesn't go as planned, I will be okay. I feel calm and safe now. I am in control of my emotions. I let go of all expectations of what this family gathering may bring. I let go of all expectations. I am open to new holiday experiences with my family. I release the need to please others. I am the only one responsible for my happiness. I choose to have compassion for my family now, because they are doing the best that they can. I let go of the need of controlling others. I let go of the need of controlling my own feelings. We don't always have to agree. And I choose to make this a peaceful family gathering and to love my family in the moment, even if I am feeling triggered. I choose to consciously step back and assess why I am being triggered. I choose to share my voice in a peaceful, compassionate, and loving way. I choose to love my family and make this a very peaceful gathering. Okay, let's all take a deep breath. So how are we feeling? Did any of those statements strike a chord with you? Did any of them, do you feel any energy bubbling up inside of you around certain statements? If you did, you may want to go back through and tap specifically on those particular statements, maybe going in there a little bit deeper and figuring out, why am I feeling resentment? Why am I holding on to these expectations? What is it? Maybe in your childhood, you had, high expectations of an amazing Christmas, and something just didn't work out right, and you were devastated, you were hurt, and maybe you're still holding on to that. Take a look back at your childhood. What did your holidays look like? What expectations did you have going into those? Maybe you want to go a little bit deeper and tap on that particular circumstance that you had as a child that didn't work out the way that you had planned for it to work out. So I hope that this was helpful for you. And as always, I am here. If you need a more in-depth, detailed tapping session, you can visit my website at www.thesoulcafe.org. And I hope that you all just have a really relaxing, peaceful, loving, compassionate holiday season. That's all that we can really ask for, right? That's what the whole season is about, is spending time with our loved ones and really just enjoying ourselves in that moment. And, when we are anxious about things, it's because we're worried about the future. We're worried about what's going to happen. So take a step back from that. Don't worry about it. Just let it happen the way that it happens and deal with it in the moment. If you have to go lock yourself in a bathroom and turn on this video and tap your way through that Thanksgiving dinner, then do it. You are allowed to do that. I wish I would have had these tools back then. It would have been a lot better and a lot easier for me to get through some of those holidays that were really, really hard on me. So I hope you guys have a great holiday.
You deserve to navigate your life as an empath in alignment with health, happiness, and abundance. To learn more about the services that I provide, including Beyond Quantum Healing Hypnosis, EFT tapping, and the Emotion Code, visit my website at www.thesoulcafe.org.